Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm delighted to say that we will be making these broadcasts into a series of podcasts this week because so many of you have enjoyed this week so much. Let me just share this, which is something everyone have to do. I can see, there we go. So share it in two different places and then we can get on with today's broadcast. Thank you so much for joining me. It is day 5 on the week on fear busting. And as you will see, I am wearing the same shirt as I did yesterday and I'm unshaven. Please excuse me. I'm just deep in some incredible work at the moment. I don't know whether you ever have that when you're working on something and you're excited by it. You don't want to leave it alone. I still keep my rituals as best as I can. I've actually been to the gym, just come back from the gym, 6 o'clock this morning. So I've shared it. Let me close this down. Now I'm going to actually do one other thing. I'm going to record this. Are we ready? 4, 3, 2, 1. So this is it. This is day 5 on the week on fear busting. I don't know if you've enjoyed this week and what you have actually learned, but we all have the capacity to be frightened. We all have it. It's encoded within us for our survival. You know that. Now, we might have evolved. We might be living a completely different lifestyle to the lifestyle that people lived thousands of years ago when we were cavemen, completely different. But we still have some of the same mechanisms inside us. I hope you really understand this because it's really important. What we need to do on day 5 is just review everything, give you guys a chance to take some time. What have I learned from listening to this week? What's my main learning? What have I achieved? And what am I going to do with this information? Because this information, I believe, is life-changing. To understand, oh, okay, the reason I have the ability to get frightened is to save my life. That millions of years ago, basically what happened was that if there was a loud noise, that would be an appropriate time for me to feel scared. If I was climbing up something high to get something to eat or run away from something dangerous, that would be an appropriate time to be frightened. Apart from that, there was really no other times where anyone really needed to be frightened. But you've had that ability to be frightened, and it has been manifested through your life. Because we don't live like cavemen anymore, but we have this fear response that is activated so much. So we started on Monday just looking at really what fear is. And I've just got my notes here. So it's an unpleasant feeling caused by a threat of danger, something painful, something harmful. It's a feeling of an anxiety concerning the outcome of something, like the safety of someone, and the likelihood of something uncertain happening in the future. So that's what fear for most of us is. And if you look at what are the biggest fears in the world, some people would say the biggest fear in the world is public speaking. People would often prefer to speak in public than to die, believe it or not. Now, I think that fear of death is way up there. Spiders is way up there. Public speaking is way up there. But probably the biggest fears that people have is the fear of I am not good enough and the fear that I will not be loved. From my experience, those are probably the two most common, and most people have it on some level. And all I'm asking you to do is one of the things I asked everyone to do this week was to become quite curious as to if you believe any of these things, what has the cost been of that? What has it done to you? What is it has been the consequence of investing into that fear, the fear that I'm not good enough? And what if it wasn't true? What if it was complete nonsense that you are good enough, that you do have what it takes? You see, you and I both know, and this is one of the things that we talk about a lot with My365, your future is unwritten. And you have the power to change. You've been given this workshop inside your mind to create things. Look around you. You'll see that it was once upon a time, someone's idea in someone's head. And they probably didn't let fear get in the way. You see, when do I get to see the best in you? In most people, when we get to see the best in people, it's when something bad happens, that it brings out the best. very few of us, and we're frightened. We're frightened of losing something. We're frightened of something happening, frightened of being alone. And then that's when we see the best of us. Very few of us are very committed to move towards something, so that when fear manifests, because whenever we do something new, there can be this uncertainty that stops us. But if you want something enough, and that's the question I have to ask all of you, what do you want right now? Just write it down here. If you're listening to this on a podcast, then just write it down on a piece of paper. What is wildly important to you right now? What is it that you want to achieve? What is it that you want to do? Do you want to be healthier, happier? Do you want to have more money, more energy, better relationships? What in your life do you actually want? Because if you move out of your comfort zone, it's uncertain. And this is a real key thing, which we haven't spoken about this week, which maybe we'll speak about at another time, which is about certainty and uncertainty. Most of us want certainty, but just imagine how boring your life would be if it was just full of certainty, that you knew everything. You could look at tomorrow and think, this is what I'm doing at 8 o'clock. This is when I'm going to the toilet. This is what's happening then. This is how many cornflakes I'm going to eat. That's if you were crazy enough to eat cornflakes. But you would see, you wouldn't want that. You'd say, give me some uncertainty. Give me something unknown, unpredictable. That's what, for so many people, is what creates the spice of life. But I don't know what your biggest learning from this week has been. But for me, I think the thing that I really had a massive realization was this whole thing about the meek. And I wrote this down. Before we look at the meek, remember fear, false evidence appearing real. So in most cases, false evidence appearing real, but a lot of people don't want to accept the fact that they have this illusion that they have created. Never let your feelings get you down. Open up your eyes, look around. It's an illusion. If you haven't heard that song by Imagination called Illusion, check it out. Most of our fears are illusions. But rather than deal with our fear, many of us just zone out. We distract ourselves. Rather than face up to our true self and realize, I don't need to have this fear. I can let go. I can be more than I am today. I do not need to be meek. And I don't know where I came across this in doing, the reading that I do, getting up at 4 a.m. and going to work. I'm helping people just like you all over the world. I came across this thing. I'm just looking for my notes here about the meek. And apparently Jesus said that the meek will inherit the earth. And what that was all about, from my understanding, was at that time, the people that lived within or under the Roman Empire, they were very strong. You couldn't rise up. Imagine if you'd risen up at school and you went, no more homework, no more homework. For me, when I was at school, the song Another Brick in the Wall came out. And we sang it, but we didn't go up into the headmaster's office and go, we don't need no eggs and bacon. Sorry, we don't need no education. We don't need no thought control. No dark sarcasm in the classroom. Hey, teacher, leave them kids alone. All in all, it's just another brick in the wall. I don't want to be a brick in the wall, but I still conformed. Even though I bunked off school, I still conformed. I still then got a job. I did what everyone else was doing. I fitted in. I became meek. The word meek, let me find my notes here, because I didn't know this. This is what I'm learning as I go along the way. And I just realized, wow, we all be a bit meek from time to time. Do you not think? This is why this is also, live and real, that sometimes you can't actually find your notes. But that's okay. This is important. So meek is to be docile, to be shy, to be timid, to be long-suffering, to be orderly, to be plain, to be spineless, to be weak-kneed. And there's a positive side of it about being patient, being humble, which is kind of like what Jesus was saying. Look, guys, don't try and rise up out here. Let's be humble. Let's just move through the world. And that's probably the best thing that we can all do. But we're not living in those times anymore. You're not at school anymore. Okay, maybe you've got a boss, but you're probably not living at home and your parents are telling you what to do, but you're telling yourself what not to do. You're telling yourself you're not good enough, and it's time to rise up. We can rise up. We live in an amazing age where we can be and who we want to be to a certain extent. Okay, you've got to play the system, but you play the system. Otherwise, you get caught in the system. And where people were meek, they've become victims. And many of us are victimizing ourselves. Does this make sense? to understand that you're just playing it small. That's all. You're just playing it small. And you know what I want to say to all of you is congratulations for being here. Because some people now will be watching the news or looking at something that just makes them to continue to drift. But we know, My365, we believe that within every single one of you, you have a desire to get better. You have a desire to give more. And perhaps that was one of the key things of this whole week. For me, again, it has been. I'm learning so much myself when I realize that when you want to get things, when you have that mentality of you want to get and you're not good enough, so you need to get that handbag, to get that pair of shoes, to get that holiday, to get that pay rise. If you want to get, then you'll always be measuring up to the fact that you haven't got what you've wanted. That's why for some people, no amount of money is ever enough. Rather than to give, we've got to all really focus. And I dare you, I challenge you to think about, what do I want to give to the world? I want to give you the best of me. That's what I want to give. What you do with that is up to you. I know it's going to make a difference to somebody's life. But does your life matter? Does it? Do you make a difference? So how do we do anything about this? Okay, so let's kind of wrap this up and give you guys a couple of tools. We say this quite a lot. Look, every day we should be looking to get a little bit uncomfortable. We should push ourselves a little bit. I think it's absolutely imperative for us to do that, especially when, something will happen in your life where you'll be tested. And if you've gone to work on yourself and you're used to facing things that are difficult, you'll be able to face something big when it comes along. I think that's really important. We encourage all of you to observe yourself. If you look at our logo, the MI, the M is the mentoring part. It's the coaching part where you can look at the I. And the I is you moving through the world and realizing you always have a response. You have a choice. So what I ask all of you to do is just notice when the fear response has come and say to yourself, say to that thought, that feeling, hello. You say hello to the fear. And then you say goodbye to the fear. Hey, I'm observing, I'm noticing a bit of fear there. Hello, and goodbye. You don't have to push it away. You just observe it. It's a way of becoming more aware. Taking control of your life is your ability to step back and observe what is going on. Observe how you are moving through the world. And you know what? Most of you know this. You can't be frightened with a smile on your face. It's very hard to do that. I'm sure people can do it because they probably practice doing it. We've got to get really good at bringing it on.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thunderbirds are go.
This is, for those of you that don't know what that is, that's activation energy. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you feel frightened about doing something, just do it. Just do it repeatedly. Do it, do it, do it, do it. And that's the way to become bold, not bold, bold. To become fearless is your ability to act, not ruminate. Rumination is what cows do. They just go, they chew and they sick it out and put it back in. And many of us are just ruminating rather than taking action. So I don't know exactly what you've achieved this week, but I have really enjoyed sharing this with you. And it is a big subject, fear. I've spent years researching it. That's why I wrote a best-selling book on the subject that's been published in multiple languages around the world, because it's something that people are interested in and something that people often want to get rid of. But I think it all starts off with the realization that you can bust your fear and realize that fear in many cases is just an illusion, something you've invented. You are more than the sum of your fear. I'm not saying life is easy, but I'm saying it can be so much better than what it is. And I really, really challenge you to do something different with your life. And thank you for tuning in this week. In fact, and get ready, because we will continue to deliver great content to you and spend more weeks doing more great stuff, inspiring you to be that very, very best version of yourself. So what I'd like to do is to actually, just because it's a Friday, has anyone got any questions? You know, I ask all of you just to take the time to think about, what have I learned this week? If you don't do this, I say it every week, if you don't do this, then a lot of this stuff will just go over your head. You're just, you don't take the time. You know, for me, every Friday, I've really got to go back through everything, and then I end up with a page summary of what this week has done for me, what I've shared. So I can go back to this at any point. But when you make a video and you put it out there, it's just saying, this is who I am, this is what I've learned, this is what I achieved, this is what I'm going to do with it. This is a journey that we're on, you know, coaching, and this is what this is. This is coaching. It's not therapy. This is not therapy. And some people need therapy. Some people just need it, to be able to sit down with a professional person and go into detail about their past. And that can be a very effective tool. But this is coaching, and coaching is much more built around, what do you want? What is important to you? And helping and guiding you and supporting you. Sometimes we need to look at the past to make sure that the past doesn't recreate itself. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. Thank you for sharing that, Susan. Has anyone got anything they want to say? You know, you guys are awesome, and you really are. To get uncomfortable is to grow. Eddie McAvoy, look, you guys are all over the place. What do I do with the black spider staring at me now? Well, the first thing I would do is stand up. And if you were to see the world through the eyes of the spider, you realize that the spider is much more scared of you than you are. You know, there are parts of the world where in the jungle, where if people have any fear of anything, they give them an hallucinogenic drug, and then they kind of hypnotize them to imagine themselves being the thing that they're frightened of. Look, we are all part of the same thing. We're all part of this planet Earth. We breathe the same air as spiders. Having a fear of a spider is good, but it needs to be a spider that could kill you. I remember when we started working with spiders, you know, tarantulas are very passive creatures. They very rarely would bite you. And if they did, it's like a bee sting. They would bite you because their life was threatened. And I said to the spider specialist, I said, well, what about this spider? Can we get this one out? Because it was in a tank. And she said, no, that one could kill you. It's a bird-eating spider. We don't have those in the UK. We are more than our fear. It's time to stand up. Thank you, Carmen, for sharing that, because that was one other thing that we spoke about this week, which is discipline. It's all very well being disciplined. The way to really fight through your fear and to become better is to follow your bliss. Add your bliss with discipline. It's blissipin. Thank you, everyone. If this has been a big week for you, Cheryl, then share that. What have you learned? What have you achieved? What are you going to do with it? It's amazing what we can learn from each other. It really, really is. I appreciate everyone for making My365 what it is today. It's an amazing experience, amazing opportunity. And next week, we're going to start looking at some stuff around stress and helping people manage the way they move through the world. So I'm excited to deliver more great content to you. Phobia is an irrational fear. I don't know if that is a question. Phobias are completely different to fears. Phobias have come about in the most cases from an imprint. Something has been imprinted on someone, even if they don't remember it. If someone is phobic of flying, they won't fly. Okay? They just won't fly. As opposed to being frightened of flying, which you've still got on a plane, but you hate it. But anyway, this is something we could talk about another time. Julie, you will be fine here if you need me. I'm not sure what that's about, but absolutely, I'm sure you're all here to help everyone. Go back to the beginning and watch them all. Yes, get involved in all of this content. Be disciplined. Go back through the whole week, make some notes, take some action. Have a great day. Let's just make a very quick summary on here. Have a great day, Jules. What do you advise when people feel overwhelmed because you took a bit too much? What do you advise when feel overwhelmed? Because I go for a walk, take a deep breath, go outside, go and be around loads of trees and really take some time to think about the answer. Thank you very much. I have a chewing gum phobia. Isn't that interesting where these things come from? Let me just make a quick little video on here. 20 seconds. So what a week, 5 days on the subject of fear, fear busting. We do not have to be our fear. We are more than the sum of our fears. Thank you everyone that watched this week. We'll see you next week for some more great coaching and inspiration to help you be amazing. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great one. And once again, thank you so much for being a part of what we're doing, because it's awesome, just like you.